Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to our video on compatible RC helicopter parts. I received a message today on one of my videos asking me if the person has to stick with the company's blades for the helicopter that they have. The bottom line answer I gave them, and I'll give all of you the same answer, is no. You don't have to buy your blades from the same place that you bought your helicopter from. Now, this is a true fact, and I've proven this a few times, especially with the one helicopter I'm about to show you. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is getting into helicopters, and some of the people that are selling helicopters with their name on it, that are actually made by, say, a company like SGSWE, for instance, or whoever, all they're doing is changing their name on the helicopter box, or changing some graphics on the box too. But definitely changing the name, and some of them actually remove the SGSWE name from the helicopter itself. So they're producing the exact same helicopter, exactly the same. This still doesn't mean you have to go with that helicopter's brand of blades either, okay? And this is where I'm going to show you. This is my Skyline Mini GT helicopter, and this is just a small little guy. Is actually the second of the first versions of helicopters I've ever bought. And we're not going to talk about the cost on helicopters because it was a little bit crazy for the price. But when it comes to the parts, yes, I could get a parts kit, and a very nice parts kit from Skyline for about 20 bucks. And you get a whack load of parts. It's a very nice parts kit for the price. But some things were a little on the expensive side, like the batteries. Their batteries are very expensive, and you don't get that in a parts kit. That's a separate purchase. So you can get batteries cheaper elsewhere, pretty much anywhere in the internet, and that's not an issue. And you can get some batteries really dirt cheap. But anyways, for the blade thing, these blades actually came off of an Oddly Sky Rover Storm 3.5 channel helicopter that was about the same size as this thing. And it turned out that the blades from it were the exact same shape and mount setup as what this helicopter requires. That's the important key thing. Same shape, same size, same mount ups. That's the important part. And this is duplicated, triplicated, and quadruple triplicated many times across many different brands, whether it be a SGSWE, a Skyline, could be Red 5, doesn't matter, stuff that Banana Hobby sells, stuff that other companies sell. The important thing is that your blades are going to be the same size, same shape, same fit. They don't have to be the same weight. In fact, these blades are much thinner and lighter than the original blades on this helicopter. And everything on this helicopter is factory original except for my blades. The advantage to the lighter, thinner blades is when you hit something, you're not going to damage the blades as easily, for one, or any other part of your helicopter for that matter. The other advantage I found, and the biggest one overall, is an extra couple minutes of flight time. The blades that come with this helicopter are thick, they are heavy. So, and they are also more brittle than what these are. I can take this blade, I can fold it around like this, touch the other end, flick it out, and go fly. I have no hassles, okay? Now, how do I get the extra flight time? Well, they're thinner and they're lighter, which means the motors don't have to work so hard to spin the blades up, which also means you're going to get off the ground a lot sooner too, because you're not having to add as much throttle, which means you're not using as much juice out of the battery, so you're not drawing as much amperage. The motors don't have to draw all that extra amperage now in order to get this thing up and flying, because it doesn't have to deal with the heavy, thick blades. So light, flexible blades like these are awesome. The SGSWE S107 also will use the same blades, and those blades also fit on this helicopter and on the Sky Rover from Oddly. Now, a lot of helicopter companies will provide a lot of parts, and some don't provide very much. And Oddly is one that you can get a spare pack of 2 blades, an A and a B blade, and a tail blade as far as blades go. You can get an antenna for your radio control unit, and you can usually get a charger. That is it. You get no gears, no landing gear, no canopies, no nothing else. That's all they're supporting. So now we're definitely forced to find compatible helicopters. Now SEMA has some helicopters that are compatible with some of Sky Rover's stuff from Audley. And of course, Protocol, I found out, actually is compatible with the Audley Exploiter. They have a helicopter that is exactly the same in every way, so you can get parts for your Audley Exploiter through Protocol. And Protocol has some very nice kits and very reasonably priced. You get a lot of parts in those kits, which is great, you know. And there's parts that you don't get. Like every manufacturer will pack different kits. Like when I get a kit, for example, for this, or I get a kit for, especially this one for sure, because I've actually bought a kit for this one. This one came with all new gears, 4 new blades, new mounts, new center shaft, new balance bar, new blade mounts, everything. It was like cool, and a new tail blade too. So lots of parts for 20 bucks. That's a good deal for their parts. The helicopters are bloody expensive from Skyline, but their parts kits are cheap. Now their batteries are very expensive, so if you want a cheap battery for this thing, you go to Lighthawk. Lighthawk, it's 7 bucks. Now you need the battery from the Lighthawk XL to work with the U6, same battery. So, you know, I'd rather pay 7 bucks than 35 bucks. You know, let's 7 times 5 is 35, right? So I can get 5 batteries from Lighthawk for the price of 1 battery from Skyline for my U6. The U6 is also put out by a company, Banana Hobby also puts it out, another company called Red 5, I believe it is. I saw a video of an English kid that's got the same U6 heli, and he says, oh, it's a Red 5 U6. Well, this is a Skyline U6. What the hell's the difference? So checking over the 2 helicopters, there's absolutely not one bit of difference at all. You know, I mean, Skyline, they don't even have their name on the helicopter. They got it on the box, but they don't have it on the helicopter at all, you know. And so I'm like, okay, well, it is. It's the same helicopter. Well, so now we shop around for parts, you know. So you don't have to stick with the same manufacturer for your heli. I would like to find much lighter blades than these. Okay, some people are going to give me heck for doing this, but you know what? It doesn't hurt it. I'd like to find other blades from other helicopters, period, that are thinner and lighter, because thinner, lighter blades give you more flight time. I find not so much really a lot of extra speed increase for flying, but just a hair, right? Like this one I noticed flies a little bit faster forward and reverse than when I had the original blades on it, okay? And the CMS 107 blades are going to be just the same. They're going to be very thin, very flexible, you know, and I haven't priced out the parts from SEMA yet, but I'm sure they're going to be probably pretty dirt cheap, you know. SEMA also puts out the SO31, SO31G, and the SO33, which are, the SO33 is a 450 class heli. The SO31G, I believe they're like a 250 or 300 class type of jobby. I've got actually 3, 2 of which are an SGSWE 2012. This is the SGSWE 2012. Now one thing you notice is there's no SO31 or SO31G name on here. There's no SEMA name. There is also no Cobra name, okay? My first one I bought like this was called a Cobra SO31G. And it's 7.4 volt system. Or sorry, not the SO31G, but the SO31 was 7.4 volt system. The G is their giant, or whatever, but it's 9.6 volt, okay? Now, the SGSWE 2012, the SO31 are exactly the same. Every part, piece for piece, exactly the same. The SO31G, the only difference on it between that and the 31 is the 31G uses a 9.6 volt battery, 9.6 volt PCB board, 9.6 volt motors. I did the mod because I was trying to figure out how it was done, where you put in a 9.6 volt battery. Now I didn't put the battery onto a 7.4 volt board because I knew it would fry the board. So I changed my board and my battery and put it into the SO31, which actually has 7.4 volt motors. Now I did find that it worked as they showed it on YouTube, you know, like you barely touch the throttle, whoosh, she's up in the air, which was really nice. However, the drawback to this mod is going to be a few things. You're going to have a harder time controlling the heli. It's going to get up there really quick, which is nice. you're going to get a very, very reduced flight time. Your motors are going to overheat real fast, and when I mean overheat, you don't want to touch your finger on them because they're going to be that hot. Your battery is also going to be screaming hot. You'll be able to feel the heat coming out of the canopy. This is not good for batteries, okay? This is a fire hazard waiting to happen. Now, if you were to reverse the process and you put a 7.4 volt battery and PCB into the 9.6 setup helicopter, which has the 9.6 volt motors, what's going to happen there is the motor is going to try and draw too much, and they can't. So you're going to get a very fast, reduced short flight time, a little bit harder time getting off the ground because you got to get them up to RPM, and you're going to end up finding that you may catch your battery on fire really quick, or you're definitely going to overheat it. It's going to do some damage either way. So you're going to be careful and not do these type of mods to any RC helicopter unless you're going to just do a complete motor switch and make everything compatible. Otherwise, you got a fire hazard waiting to happen. So I wouldn't really mess with that too much. Now, a lot of guys, they like to reduce weight too, and we'll get to that. Now, this is the Lighthawk Arrow. Now, this is a really nice aircraft. Double Horse has a very similar one to this. I haven't checked for how compatible parts are all the way across, but for sure, tail rotor blade. Okay, now these blades, I can get them out of Lighthawk for $3 a piece. To me, that's a fair price. I'm okay with that. All their prices are very fair at Lighthawk. Lighthawk, when you buy one of their helicopters, every single piece that is on this helicopter that makes this a helicopter assembled, you can buy from Lighthawk. That is top-notch support. Now that's what I like to see in a helicopter place that's selling helicopters, okay? That is awesome. Now, the one drawback, well, two actually, I find with this helicopter is the landing gear struts are too short. They should have been about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch taller, okay? It would have been better because the biggest part of the problem with this heli, other than the short struts, is, as you'll see, the blade is actually longer than the support back here, okay? Or stabilizer. A lot of people call them stabilizers. Okay, it's nice that it's made out of metal. The blade, however, is a little bit too long. It is flimsy plastic, which is fine. That's good for lightweightness. You need it because this thing whips some serious RPMs. But when you put this on ground level, I had to put 4 pads on this because it only comes with 2 pads on the one side. I had to put 4 pads on my landing gear skis. I have less than a 1/2 inch clearance between the bottom of the blade and the table surface. Now this is a table, and I can't get my finger under there without moving the blade. So on the grass, not a good idea for takeoffs. And if you're going to land on the grass, wait till you're about maybe 4 inches or 6 inches above the ground level on the grass, then just suddenly cut the power on it, and you won't damage this. I've damaged about 2 or 3 of these blades already, so I got to get more. This one is actually busted too, and I won't fly it with a busted blade, but I glued it back together just to hold the pieces there. So it still looks like a helicopter on my shelf because it really disgusts me with missing pieces on functional machinery. So for now I've done that until I get the new parts in. But that is the only 2 things I see problematic with this helicopter, other than it does have a lack of range. So really 3. You know, 70 feet is not a lot of range in my books. So I'm going to be working on it over the winter and seeing how much more I can increase the range on this. I may actually end up going with a thicker antenna wire, which would actually help with the range, still keeping the wire the same length. But I've tried spreading the wire out. That trick did not work. It made things worse. And that's one thing. Some helicopters you can unravel the wire to give it more signal, we'll say. Some not so much. All right. But I am going to check, like I said, with Double Horse and see what other parts are compatible, because they do make a model like this in a 3.5 channel, and we'll see how compatible the parts are. But I mean, Lighthawk parts are very, very reasonable, so I really wouldn't want to shop anywhere else other than Lighthawk anyhow. But it's nice to know what my options are, especially when it comes to the Double Horse version. You know, what are the Double Horse version prices like? And that's what I want to take a look at and then compare, and then I know who I'm going to shop for my parts. So we have a few helicopters here. We've got a few different ways we can get parts. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is tail rotor blades. Now this is something that threw me off a couple of times. I'm all for, you know, bigger tail rotor blade, you know, give you more wind movement, especially with outdoor flying. Now, as far as I'm concerned, these little guys that are infrared controlled, don't fly them outdoors. They don't like a lot of excessive light. It screws them up. I won't even fly these with the TV on because it screws up the signal there too, and I've had them get knocked out of the air just, you know, getting too close to the TV. The frequencies are pretty close for some reason. It just causes hassle. Plus you can't change TV channel. But not a good idea for outdoor flying with something this tiny. Now with this one here, the U6 in this size, which would also be the same size category as say a Lighthawk XL or many other ones out there. This is an indoor-outdoor helicopter. Size-wise, great for indoors in gyms, great for indoor in the house. Outdoors, extremely low wind. The lower the wind, the better with something in this size category. The Lighthawk Arrow, now this is strictly a big gymnasium or outside. And outside you can fly this thing really well, even in a 10 or 15 km/h wind, not a big issue. Okay, and these things are adjustable. The servos can be adjusted, etc. Now, of course, the big bad boy here, right? Definitely a big gymnasium, definitely outdoors, and really good range. I get up to 300 feet range on this thing, so I don't have to worry about modding anything on these. But so I like these ones a lot. But definitely great for outdoors, and you know, I've flown these 10, 15, 20 km/h winds without a lot of problem. You know, they could use a better tail rotor blade. Now, if you want a better tail rotor blade, the SEMA SO33, which is their big bad boy 450 class size heli, has a very suitable back tail rotor blade that just bolts right on here, no hassles, and you'll get more wind and not have to worry about messing anything up either. The other thing you want to watch out for is when you crash, especially with your rear tail rotor blades. I mean, these things aren't on pivoters like your main rotor blades are. I think they should switch these all to pivoters because it would save a lot of motors. The one thing you'll notice is the brass pinion on here. I don't care if it's plastic or brass, but enough hits that actually will twist that shaft, and then you're replacing your motor. Now, some companies you can get just a replacement motor for a couple of dollars. Other companies you got to buy a whole new tail boom section. Okay, so in the case of the Lighthawk Arrow, for instance, if you want a new motor on your Lighthawk Arrow, you have to buy a whole new boom, tail boom that has the whole assembly in there, motor and all, and that's fine because then all your guts are replaced at once. Boom, you're done. You know, you don't have anything else to worry about. So I like that, and it's only a $10 part, no problem. This you can buy separate boom, separate motor, separate holder, separate everything, which is great too. You know, not a big issue. So it keeps the cost down on the repairs too. Yeah, so if you want more wind out of this one, that would be my best suggestion. I had a Skyline M3 chasing helicopter that took a very nasty crash, and this happened a few months before the SO33 came out, which was actually really its predecessor in a way. Now, the M3 was made by Skyline, the SO33 is made by SEMA. Turns out those parts were 80% compatible, and I smashed the crap out of my boom and everything, so I could have actually used the boom and everything from that helicopter, but especially the back tail rotor blade. They're the exact same blade, and I've run the M3 on this one, and it's fine, and it does actually help a lot in those higher winds compared to this cheesy one that's on here, which, yes, it does work, it is functional, but you got to watch it to a degree. So anyway, so the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about too is batteries. Now, if you want more flight time, especially in these smaller little guys here, they usually have about a 50 or 75 milliamp battery. You can actually get double capacity milliamp batteries. Same voltage has to be, but double the capacity milliamps, you can get them. And you're not really adding extra weight to your helicopter. Sometimes you might add just a hairball, but you can push that battery back like 1/8 of an inch and you're balanced. So that's another way you can get extra flight time too, on top of lighter, more flexible blades. So now I wanted to also talk to you about what I would like to call the battery myth. I've seen a few videos where guys talk about the batteries that come, especially with these larger helicopters. And I got a few of these kicking around. 7.4 volt, 1100 milliamp. So even if it's a 1300 milliamp, it's fine. But these batteries, a lot of guys are saying that come with the helicopters are crap, and you might get 10 flights out of them and then they're junk. Now, I don't know what they're doing, but I've had a lot of these helicopters with these type of batteries, and of course they're all factory. I've never had to order actual batteries for them. But I'm going to tell you that if you follow the instructions I'm about to give you, you might just find a big difference yourself. When you get your helicopter brand new in the box, okay, one of the smartest things to do is to give it a full charge. I mean, they come partially charged from the factory, but put it on the charger, you know, wait till the charger is done its cycle and it's finished, it's charged your helicopter. Now, once it's done charging, wait for about 20 minutes. Then go fly. Have fun, enjoy your flight. When you're done flying, you are done flying at the point where your helicopter no longer wants to take off. Okay, now you can run the battery to the point where the blades stop running, but the lights are still flashing. That's fine, okay? So as long as the lights are still flashing, don't kill your battery to the point where your lights stop working on your helicopter. This is very, very bad. It will screw up a battery. It will just kill it, right? So this is where you're going to get your 10 only charges when you start doing that stuff. I run my helicopters until they won't take off anymore, or they decide that they want to land on their own and they won't take off, and I just let them go until the blades don't run anymore, but the lights are still functional. Then I let them cool off for, well, in the case of something with a battery this big, half an hour, okay? In the case of a little smaller type of battery, we're talking 20 minutes. Something this size, 10 minutes is sufficient, 15 max. So you let it cool off, because what kills a battery is heat. So if you're trying to recharge an already hot battery, you're burning that battery out. So your life cycle could have been 400 charges. You just knocked yourself down to about 5 or 10 or maybe 15 charges, okay, by doing that. So you want to let it cool off first, recharge it. Once it's charged, let it cool off for the same amount of time, because as a battery gets charged, it warms up, it heats up. So you want to let that battery cool back off again before you start flying, because otherwise you're going to have a reduced flight time and you're going to damage your battery cells. So follow that and try that. I've got batteries that have 50 cycles on them already like this, not one hiccup. This helicopter in particular has got well over 50 flights on the same battery since new. So, and no hiccups. It still takes a regular full charge. I still get my, you know, average 8 to 10 minute flight time out of it. It's still doing great, you know, and this little guy here has probably got at least 200 charges on the exact same battery, okay, at least. Lots of recharge cycles on this battery. So, and like I said, I let it go until the blades stop running, I let her cool down, then I recharge it. So now a lot of guys also ask about recharge time. I'm going to get a little bit further into this video, and I'm sorry, but I want to add some extra in here just so that you know. But when it comes to charge times, some remote controllers, especially on these little guys, the light will start to flash. But when you go to recharge from your remote control unit, where most of these do go from, make sure your throttle is in the off position. Plug it in. Make sure your power is turned off on your helicopter, or you can fry stuff in here like your battery and your PCB board. So make sure that the power is turned off first. Some helicopters are protected that they won't even take a charge if the power is turned on. So make sure the power is turned off, and then you're going to save yourself any kind of problem. But with the remote recharging, you have to have that throttle down too. Don't know why, just it's the way it works. I've tried it the other way and it wouldn't take a charge. So throttle off. Some helicopters, when they're done charging like this, the light will go completely out. Some will go a solid green. Some will flash. Okay, either green or red, whatever. Not every helicopter manufacturer uses the same color LED bulbs, okay? This one in particular, it actually, if the battery's still got a lot of power in it, it'll go like a green-red, and then it'll go to red, because it'll condition the battery, and then it goes solid green when it's done. Others will, you know, just be straight red and go off, whatever, flash. Some remotes actually have two lights, one a charge light, one's a power light. Both will light up when it's charged. The charge light goes out, or the charge light isn't on and then it goes on when it's charged. So read your instructions anyways for your helicopter, and it'll save you a lot of hassles and problems. But always do a full charge cycle too. Don't interrupt it in the middle, you know, and then go flying. Okay, I mean, if your power shuts off in your house, that's fine. Power comes back on, it'll just keep going if it's one that plugs into the wall. But if it's one right off the remote, it's right off the battery. So, and very important too, with remote control helicopters, okay, or infrared control where they charge off the remotes, use quality batteries. Dynax, Infinity cells are great. They work good and they're cheaper than Energizers and Duracells. But also Energizer and Duracell are the two top dogs. But you can use one of those 4 brands, definitely for sure, no hassle. Don't go past more than 10 to say 13 at max recharge cycles off of your remote, because then your battery's not going to get properly charged and peaked up, and this can cause problems too. So you want to change those batteries out about that often. So if you're going to go after the cheaper batteries like the Dynax or the other ones, Infinity cells, because they sell Infinity cells at the source and I love them. They're great batteries, especially in RC toys. They work wonderful. Change them about every 10 to 13 and you're good. So anyway, that's pretty much about it. So if you have any questions, because I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff anyway, and I don't want to keep you tied up forever here. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do the best I can to answer them. And you know, as I find out more and more stuff on cross compatibility of other machines, definitely update you guys and let you know what I find out. And we'll go from there. So in the meantime, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video for sure.